Let's talk sports nutrition today, specifically carb mixes. Let's get into it. If there's one thing you guys should know about me is that I'm very, very cheap. And I wanted to make sure I had a high quality carb mix available to me without spending inordinate amounts of money on Tailwind. So I took a look at Tailwind's recipes and ingredients list and tried to make pretty much a copycat of it. That resulted in me getting table sugar, which is 1 part fructose and 1 part glucose. I got myself maltodextrin, which is essentially pure glucose. I also got myself some very fancy table salts. And then getting into a little bit more technical types of electrolytes, I got myself magnesium oxide, I got myself potassium chloride, calcium carbonate, and then I actually also did get myself some powdered B12. One thing that Tailwind doesn't have in it is caffeine. And I didn't want to put caffeine in my carb mix because I have a pretty crippling energy drink addiction, but I did want to add a little bit of B12 just for like a little bit of an energy boost without being caffeine. To further the theme of my cheapness, what I have available are measuring cups. I do understand that most performance athletes, bodybuilders, and all of the great athletes of the world have food scales. I don't, because I'm really cheap. And so in lieu of buying a $30 food scale, I got myself a husband who's an engineer and who's very, very good at conversions. And so when you're looking at the magnesium oxide, you need about 56 milligrams of magnesium oxide per serving. When you do potassium chloride, you need about 27 milligrams, which is about 0.002 teaspoons per serving. And then when you look at the vitamin B12, there's this.
Let's hold up here. We just need to do a little bit of middle school math and chemistry. So if we look at Tailwind's website, it tells us we need 12 milligrams of magnesium per serving, 27.
Let's actually make our mix. So I'm gonna be doing 30 servings in a big jug like this. 2 things I wanna make sure you guys are aware of. Make sure your jar is very, very clean and very dry. The other thing I want to just think about is probably a lot of these manufactured mixes have some type of preservative in them so they can be shelf stable for a long time. Since I'm using just like raw ingredients, I'm not including any preservatives. So I would recommend that if you can't consume these 30 servings of carb mix within like a month or 2, I would maybe recommend doing a little bit less so it doesn't get moldy or you get sick or anything like that. So I'm going to start with my sugar. I'm gonna need 6 cups of sugar to make my 30 servings. And so here I just have my little half cup. So I will do 12 scoops of this. And then I will be doing 3 cups of maltodextrin, which will be 6 scoops for this. I'll be adding our salt next, which will be 8 teaspoons of salt to get me my 30 servings of 200 calories. As this currently stands, this is a great carb mix. It's very, very simple. It's just sugar and salt. You could actually go out the door with this today and actually have a great training mix. One thing I will say is that this is like very plain and bland on its own once you add water. So I do tend to put like little tubes of Crystal Light, or I have these little like condensed drink like flavors that I will put in my bottle just to have something a little bit tastier than just really sweet water. So one thing that you can consider if you want to, but on its own, it's fine. It's just very sweet. To make this more exact to Tailwind, I am going to actually put the rest of my electrolytes in here, starting with my potassium chloride. I'm going to need 5 teaspoons of potassium chloride. All right, there's my potassium. Next, I will be doing my calcium carbonate. I need about 1.5 teaspoons of calcium carbonate. So here, 4. Okay, so that's my 1.5 teaspoons of my calcium carbonate. And then I need a 1/2 teaspoon of my magnesium oxide. I'll be going in again with my 1/8 teaspoon. Excellent. And so right as this stands, this is pretty much an exact replica of Tailwind minus any sort of flavoring. Like I said, for my own just personal want, I am putting a little bit of B12 in here, but just keep in mind, Tailwind or anything doesn't have this either. So I'm gonna be putting just about 1/8 of a teaspoon of this B12 in this whole jar, because a little of this goes a really, really long way. Oh, it's so bright and red. Okay, and that is everything you need to make basically an exact replica of Tailwind. The one thing I'll say is make sure you get like a wooden spoon or something and mix this really, really well. And then I actually just put a 1/4 cup, like serving measuring spoon in here. So every time I actually want to get mix out of here, this is available. But I also did put a little bit of a label on my jar. And so what this is saying that 0.125 cups is about 100 calories. So that would be like that 100 calorie serving that Tailwind would give you. And this, keep in mind, is about 27 grams of carbs. Whereas the 1/4 cup per bottle gives me 200 calories, and that is closer to that 16 grams of carbs per hour that I need. That's pretty much it. Put a lid on this thing, throw it in the cabinet, and you are ready for your next big training ride.